topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from top local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to experts in family law, association law, hearing loss, business brokers, home care, along with many other topics. Now here are your hosts, Steve-O and Sophia.
Hey, good morning. Welcome to another Ask the Expert show where for the last 16 years we have brought you the top experts in the field of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. You know, if there's any doubters out there going, there's no way he's been on for 16 years. Well, today's expert is my proof because we've been doing this for about 16 years. And I got to say this, and this is not a suck up. I have so enjoyed doing this show. We're doing something a little different today. Barry Fowler with Taxation Solutions does his own live show on talk radio on Mondays at 10 o'clock Eastern. And we have decided to do a show before his show. So he's going to be doing 2 hours worth of shows. Good morning, Barry.
Hey, good morning, Steve-O. And yeah, it's been 16 years. And, you know, it was really funny. We came out to your place and we did a radio program and you guys videoed it, which was my first time ever doing radio and then doing it on video. And, you know, we were sitting there doing it and you go, okay, so what questions do we need to ask? And I went, just ask whatever questions you want. And he goes, you go, wait a minute, you're going to do this without, you know, knowing what the questions are? I said, absolutely.
Right.
Let's stump me. Let's go. Let's do this. Let's have some fun. And then we actually, matter of fact, I think a year later than that, after that, I came out to Florida. I think it was right around Boca Raton, and did a big seminar out there talking about IRS problems, IRS tax debt, how to get yourself out of it, how to solve your own problem, just trying to help people to be able to help themselves if they don't want to, you know, use our services or somebody else's services, or even to be able to verify what somebody else is telling you is true and making sure that they're following through with what needs to be done to solve your tax problem as well. So it's been a lot of fun over the last 16 years.
You know, Barry, we used to talk about, you just brought it up, the questions that we're going to talk about, but this is what makes your show so easy. We get so many emails and texts about your show. Like I'm looking at today, we've probably got 40 questions that there's no way we'll get to 40 questions even with in the hour. So we don't even have to discuss it, but there's one thing, and we've talked about this before, no one's ever stumped you before.
No, that's what this is all about today. Hey, stump the expert. Let's go have some fun. You know, I'll play along and we'll have a great time and answer questions. When I get into my show, which is following this show, Tax Talk for You, and you can go to Tax Talk for You, and that's the number 4, the letter U.com. Follow us over there so you never miss an episode. We're going to be talking about trucker bookkeeping, trucker taxes. So if you're a trucker, owner, operator, make sure you tune into that show as well, because we're going to be helping you as far as taxes go. And we're right in the middle of tax season. We've got less than a month to go to get tax returns filed for, you know, all of our clients, truckers, owner operators, and, if you got a tax problem, you got to still file tax returns as well. So you got to get them filed.
Barry, I got to tell you, you do a lot of work for truckers. And I got to tell you, with all these national companies always advertising on national TV, I have never heard one of them ever mention truckers. And by listening to you and learning from you, what an important area, because these guys don't have time to work on their taxes or understand the tax laws.
No, they absolutely don't. I mean, they're over the road, they're away from home. And I'll correct you, there are a couple of competitors now that have heard us on this show and are going after truckers. But I can tell you this, I am involved with one of the largest trucking associations, Owner Operator Independent Drivers Association. I speak at their Truck to Success seminar that they put on every year. And I also have the privilege of writing for their magazine called Landline Magazine. So if you're a trucker and you're a member of OOIDA, you get the Landline Magazine article on trucking taxes. It's all about helping truckers. And that's the reason that OOIDA got involved with us, is because we have been the one company that's been going out there pursuing and helping, over the road truckers, owner operators, solve their tax problems, help them with their bookkeeping, get their taxes reduced as much as possible. And that's how we're so involved in trucking and have that complete knowledge about trucking and how we can help you, the owner operator, save money on taxes and get the professional bookkeeping that you need to keep and monitor what's going on in your business, because you don't have time. You get home, you want to spend time with your family. Last thing you want to do is sit down at a computer or with a pen and paper and trying to figure out, hey, how good is my business doing, when you can just come home, or maybe you're on the road and you stop and you have nothing better to do. You can go look at your financials and see how good you're doing.
Hey, Barry, I've noticed with our numbers, they keep shooting up every month. There's so many people, new listeners, new viewers, finding your show also. Tell people about Taxation Solutions.
Taxation Solutions, we started this company way back in 2008, just to have that focus on finding that solution to people's tax problems. I've been doing representation in taxes 40 plus years. I was knee high to a grasshopper when I was doing my first tax return with my father way back when, paper and pencil. And he was showing me what we needed to do and how to do it, and teaching me everything, all the ins and outs. As we were going through and going into business and we were running our own tax business, we were finding more and more people that were just fighting the IRS and didn't have a place to turn. They had some large companies that were just taking advantage of them, take their money and do nothing. We needed a company that would actually be of service to the taxpayer, the people that were behind on their taxes, whether they owed money or going through an audit, or maybe haven't filed for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, whatever it may be. They needed a place to go that they knew that would be the kind of place that would actually cater to them and solve their problem and get that solution that they can actually afford, and then not mislead them and sell them a solution that they can't get, and then go, well, we got to do this and we got to do this differently, and then we've got to charge you more. But to actually get the solution that, hey, the IRS will allow, that you can afford and fits your life. And so that's where Taxation Solution came about. So if you got a tax problem and you need help, maybe you owe the IRS $10,000, $20,000, $50,000, $100,000, $1 million or more, give us a call. It's 877-996-6477. Again, 877-996-6477. Hey, it's a toll-free call. costs you nothing. It's a free consultation. We just want to talk, figure out a way to help you with your tax problem, or give you advice that maybe, hey, where you're going is the wrong place to go, that they're misleading you, and you need to relook at it and rethink about it. So it gives you your options. And then you can also go to taxationsolutions.net and see what we're all about. We're here to help.
Let's start off with Miles in Las Vegas. He said, I just found your show in December, and I'm looking forward to watching more of your shows. Will you, if I retain your services, will you handle all communications with the IRS and the Department of Revenue?
Absolutely. That is what we're here to do. We step right into your boots and represent you. You do not talk to the IRS at all. If they call, you have our card and it says, hey, if a revenue officer or the IRS calls you, because they will call you once they've established working with you. But if they do, or maybe they show up at your door if you're in business, you just, hey, read them. Mr. Fowler is my representation. He's my enrolled agent. You call him, again, 877-996-6477, and shut the door. Hang up the phone. And then call us and let us know who it was that called. You can give us their phone number and we'll turn around and call them and we'll get them right off your back. Because you don't need to deal with it. You don't need the stress of it. That's kind of what we do. We're that stress relief company that allows you to get that sleep at night. You don't need a better mattress. You don't need to spend the money on a mattress. When you have a tax problem, you need Taxation Solutions to get you that better sleep at night. Hey, that was a new one I just came up with. You know, you don't have to get that new mattress. You know, you just get us for tax relief and stress relief. Get the IRS off your back. Call us today. See, we got to have fun here, Steve.
You sound like Mattress Mac now.
We'll save you money. Oh, I forgot the dollar bills.
Well, first of all, one of the many things I've learned from you, Barry, is you can really dig yourself a deep hole by just talking to them.
Oh, absolutely. And you don't even need a shovel to do it. It's just sometimes you open your mouth and stick your foot in it. But, you know, and it's really easy to do, to be honest with you. The IRS asks those little simple leading questions that you think, oh, that's no problem. I'm just going to answer. And you answer off the cuff. And whether the answer is right or wrong, you started giving them that roadmap to everything you have. They don't have to do all the research to find your bank accounts, to find where you work, to find out when you get paid, to find out when they can levy your bank account when it has the most money in it. You just laid it out to them. And it was innocent, but you don't need to do that. You need representation. Yes, we may lay everything out to them, but we're also working to stop them in their tracks, you know, before they levy your bank account, before they garnish your wages, take your Social Security.
Yeah.
All these things that they can do. You know, we're not going to stop them from putting a lien on your property when you owe them and you're in tax debt, because they want to make sure that if you sell it, they get their money. But we have ways to work with them or around them. If you do want to sell it and get some of that paid off, they'll work with us on that. But you've got to do everything the right way. Is when you start doing things the wrong way, or you lay out everything to them and then you ignore them, guess what they do? They take everything you have, everything that's in your bank account, or they garnish your wages and then try living off what little bit they think you should have. Because it doesn't come down to, hey, what do you need to make your payments on your car or your house or anything else? What it comes down to is, hey, here's the table. How many people are you claiming on your tax return or your W-4? And now here's how much money the IRS allows you to keep out of your paycheck. And then when you can't meet your bills and you're basically bankrupt and your lenders are coming after you, what do? Well, it's a little bit too late at that point to do much. Now we've got to really fight a different way to stop the IRS, get that wage levy lifted, and get your life back so that you can get back to living, and maybe make your wife happy as well if you actually man up and deal with the tax problem by giving us a call at 877-996-6477. I mean, it's that simple.
This is from Ben in Miami. He said, I'm interested in your company. I know this is probably a broad question, but what are your responsibilities during the process?
Now, are you talking my responsibilities or your individuals there, Ben? Your responsibilities is to respond to us. Your responsibility is to do what we're asking you to do and provide the information we need to represent you. That is what your responsibility is. Our responsibility is to do everything in our power to represent you the best way possible, get you the best solution that is allowed by law, working within all the laws. And, the IRS has rules, regulations, laws, manuals, and everything else, code that they've got to go by. We make sure that they're following the IRS revenue manual, following the code, and getting you the best solution. You hear these ads, fresh start, fresh this, fresh that. That's programs the IRS has. That's not their program. That's programs the IRS has. And I don't consider them to be ideal programs, because a fresh start to me is fresh money for the IRS. That's all it is. Call us. We can get you a fresh start. No, they can get themselves some fresh money out of your bank account by you working with them to maximize what they want to collect. Whereas when you're working with us, we're trying to minimize what they're going to be able to collect, maybe by penalty abatement, maybe by fixing the tax returns that were done wrong and lowering the tax amount. Maybe it's the offer and compromise. Maybe it's the installment agreement. But these are all our responsibilities of things that we are going to do for you based on the engagement we have. And then your responsibility, again, is just responding. When we need information from you, you've got to provide it. You've got to help us in the representation by providing the information. And that's it. And then staying compliant from there, meaning filing your tax returns, making your estimated tax payments, or making your monthly payments if you happen to be in an installment agreement or a partial pay installment agreement. You got to follow through and communicate. We're going to communicate with you all the time. We need you to communicate back with us when things change as well. That's simple. It's really easy process when we break it down that way.
Barry, I think people are going to be surprised when they call you and they find out how many tools you have in the toolkit to fight the IRS.
I don't think anybody really knows. Nobody's seen our arsenal that we have here. I'll be proud to say our arsenal may not be loaded with missiles and ammunition and everything else. It's other kind of tools, but I would say it rivals what Trump has used to decimate Iran and everything else he's done. We have such great tools to work within what's going on at the IRS to help get the best solution. I mean, we just had a client here. Honestly, they owe well over $1 million, and we've been having to fight a revenue officer, his manager, and his manager's manager, tooth and nail. So we have been pulling every tool we have, every section of IRS code. We have ripped apart every part of the IRS manual to help these guys avoid, 1, trust fund penalties, 2, forced sales of business equipment, 3, forced sales of their rental homes and other property that they had. And we're managing to keep this guy at bay, which is really nice. But it's been very complicated. It's a complicated road that we're having to go down, but that is some of the best parts of the tools that we have in our toolbox that we can pull out at any time to help defeat the IRS and keep them at bay while we work with our client to find the best solutions and get their way out of this. Yes, they dug a hole by, not paying their taxes, but it's our job to get that solution and get them back out of that hole, give them that ladder to climb out, get back on, straight and narrow with the IRS in compliance, and still keep everything that they want to keep, so that they can continue living their lives and enjoying the fruits of their labor as well, without having to worry about what the IRS is going to do to them.
For our next national show next month, all the people who are writing in, we're going to be doing, Barry doesn't even know this yet, I never have to prepare him. We're going to really concentrate on businesses next month. We do so much individual with the IRS, and I think because of the letters. So if you're writing us over the next 30 days, make sure they're business questions, and we will try to, as hard as we can, to get to every one of those. Barry, we've gotten maybe 3 or 4 letters from people stating they've tried to call the IRS, and one of them said he was on hold for 2 hours. What's going on over there?
Limited resources. The government and DOJ have kind of lost quite a few people that work within the IRS. So they're working with limited resources. The IRS agents complain about it all the time. And sometimes I think it's a good thing. Some of the seasoned people have left, which is a bad thing, because they kind of knew what needed to be done and how to do things, and what the manual required and what the code required. And, so we've lost some good people over there at the IRS that we can work with, and people I've actually worked with over the years at times. Some of the newer people don't know. All they know is their job was to collect money, and they don't care how they get it. They don't care if they follow the rules. They don't care if they're violating them. So, us knowing what the rules are and the regulations are allows us to get up to the managers at times and make sure that these guys are staying in compliance with what they're required to do as well. And it's debates sometimes I have with some really green revenue officers and agents that I've had to deal with over the last year. And we take it to the next level, and we get it done the way it needs to be done versus the way this green revenue officer, wants to do it. And that's the advantage of having somebody that's been in this business a very long time, that enjoys working against the IRS to beat them at their game and to save you, the client, money. So hold times have gotten very long. I'll be honest with you, it's really funny, as I also hear where you sit on hold for 2 hours or 3 hours, and then all of a sudden the system just hangs up on you.
Yes.
And you have to start all over again. And, even in our, we've got a proprietary line that we call to help our clients. And even then, sometimes they pass us to somebody else or another department, and they'll hang up, or they get into start working with me, and they take it from me. I don't like the person that I'm dealing with. Sometimes I'll hang up and just start over because I don't think they know what they're doing. And I'd rather get somebody that may be knowing what they're doing. Well, I think they know that I know more than them, so they just hang up on me or want to transfer me out somewhere else. I'm not really sure at times. I just shake my head and go, okay, transfer me. And
it's Fowler. Fowler's on the phone. Scatter.
Let's get him to somebody else that wants to go with him. And and it's funny. I'm probably one of the nicest guys to the revenue officers, because I'll sit and chit chat with them on the phone and talk to them, find out how their day is going. Just, hey, sometimes it's keeping those enemies close, and as close as possible, making friends with them. And that's kind of what I enjoy to do.
Kathy in Tampa, thank you for giving me Mr. Fowler's information to contact. I understand that they charge for their services. I have no problem with that. My problem is I don't know if I'm going to be able to pay my taxes on a monthly basis. What do I do?
So, Kathy, first thing is call us because, one, we need to see what your situation is. We can go through a tax analysis and see how we can maybe fix the problem. There's also different options in our arsenal, different things that are allowed by the IRS. So depending on the tax debt, we might be able to go and represent you and get you the offer in compromise where it settles the debt for a low amount, a lot lower than what you owe. If maybe your debt's old enough that maybe the statutes or the limitations are going to run out, we look at that too, because we don't want to put you into a program that extends those statute of limitations or a program that you're going to fall out of compliance with and the debt comes back, which is the same thing. You fall out of compliance with an offer in compromise, the debt comes back. So maybe it's a partial pay installment agreement. Maybe it's a non-collectible status. This is what people don't get. Everybody's situation is different. And we hear it all the time. And Kathy, when you call us, we're going to talk about your situation and we're going to talk about what possible solutions you may have. And then we're going to do a tax analysis. And then we're going to say, this is the actual drop dead solution that you can get based on your situation. Now, when you call some of these other ones, they're like, yeah, man, you qualify for an offer in compromise. You're going to settle this thing for, I hate it, pennies on the dollar, but less than what you owe. So sign up with us. And you go sign up. And then all of a sudden they're looking at it and they're going, well, no, you make too much money. Or, hey, statute of limitations are going to run out. We're going to do this offer anyway. Well, that just extends the statute of limitations. It didn't do you any good. They just sold you a service because you were looking for that pipe dream of what it's going to be. So, Kathy, this is what we just tell you. Hey, give us a call at 877-996-6477. It's a free call, free consultation. If you don't like what we say, hey, tell us, hey, I'm sorry. We don't want to go through that. We don't want to do it. We understand. Or somebody else promised us the moon, the stars, the sun, and the universe, and you're only promising us reality. And we understand that too. Everybody's got a dream. Everybody wants that, golden chalice of, forgiveness and forgiveness of debt. We all would love it. But again, not everybody does qualify. So if you really want reality and you want the truth, even if it smacks you hard in the face, call us at 877-996-6477 and let us talk about it. Let's talk about what can be done, what possibly can be done, and what is the reality of your situation. And then maybe once we get into tax analysis, we find a way to fix everything for you. And it became a lot easier than offering compromise or partial pay installment agreement, because we do that as well. We look at your tax returns to find out what's going on to maybe help you solve that problem.
Cecil in Cleveland, what do I do if I've been notified I'm being audited by the IRS? I've never been audited by them before.
Who is that again, Cecil? The first thing you should do is take that paper, throw it in that trash can, because you can ignore it then. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. All right. So the first thing you do is call
Barry
us.
does have a sense of humor.
Hey, our clients do that quite often. They've never seen a letter from the IRS that didn't find that circular file there in the trash. The first thing to do is look at it. When is the audit going to take place? Is it a correspondence audit? Is it an in-person audit? Is it just a audit of a couple of items on your return? And when you call us, we can talk about that and figure out what needs to be done. But you're not going to want to ignore it. You're going to actually want to answer that. So I would tell you to find a service that can do it for you, because these audits sometimes get very emotional. So when the IRS agent's sitting there looking at you and says denied, you're frustrated. You're actually kind of getting a little upset because you know that should have been a business expense and you know it was right. You felt like you proved it, but he's asking for more things and he's denying it. And, you know, when somebody tells you no, this isn't going to work and you're going to owe more money, it's an emotional, trauma-filled day. And sometimes just stepping away and letting somebody else do it, they help button down those hatches. They find a way to support what you have if it is a true expense. I've seen people come to me and go, oh man, my return is perfect. Okay, provide me support, and there's no support. Somebody made up the numbers. That's when you get in trouble. But if you got the support and everything else, we can deal with it. We can take the emotion out of it, at least the emotion of sitting with the revenue officer auditor that's going through and auditing your return. And, you know, his job is to do what? Find more money. His job's not to help you in any way, shape, or form. He's working for the government. And, you know, you may pay taxes to the government. They don't work for you. They work for the federal government, the Department of Revenue, to get more revenue in to the coffers to pay our national debt, pay for the things that they're handing out across the country. And it's got to come from somewhere. So it's you, I, and every other taxpayer that's out there that they're going to want money from. So, you know, you want to get with somebody to work on that, get that audit moved so that you have time to build the support, put together to show them that, hey, all these deductions were true. And taking the emotion out of it is one of the big keys.
Ralph in Memphis. Mr. Fowler, I love the way you explain things. I actually listen to your other show that you do every week. I'm wondering how much of my wages can be garnished.
So the IRS has a calculation, and it's all based on how much money you make. And then it's based on what is filed on your W-4. And so they go through this calculation based on that. So depending on how much you're making, you may get $200 a week. You may get $500 a week. And it really, everybody's situation is different and it varies. Your human resource department is the one that gets that wage levy. And trust me, even though they're not really supposed to talk about it, I would pretty much tell you that if it's gotten to a wage levy, everybody in that business is going to know your business and know that you have tax debt. And it's going to be somebody's going to mention it. B, your boss is probably going to have to come talk to you and tell you that you're getting this wage levy. And C, when you're yelling and screaming that why are they taking so much money that everybody else in the business knows that they're taking this money from you. And now all of a sudden you become a job hopper. So you're going to leave that business because it's going to take them a while to find you at the next business. And so we've seen that as well. So getting in front of the problem, solving the problem, even if you've got the wage levy right now going on you, we can get those wage levies dropped and stopped so that you can get back to living your life while we're getting the solution in place as well. You got to call us, though, 877-996-6477. It's a free call, free consultation. Let's talk about it. Let's figure out what's happening and how we can get you the best solution so you don't have to deal with this wage levy. That's the thing. And then you got to go home and tell your spouse. Good luck. I wouldn't want to do that.
Yeah, really. Kelly in Orange County, California. Love your show. You are so informative. I heard you mention enrolled agent. What is the difference between an enrolled agent and an attorney?
Oh, man, somebody finally stumped me. I'm just kidding.
No.
Hey, enrolled agent is licensed by the U.S. Department of Treasury to represent taxpayers to the highest level of the IRS. Now, what that means is we are America's premier tax experts. We know more about taxes than anybody else out there. We were tested on our knowledge on taxes, even things that most people never know about in tax law. Um, and then we go through a full fingerprint background check by the FBI. Amazing. And then we get our license, and we're licensed to practice to the highest levels. Attorneys, you know, I have friends, and I use that term very loosely, that are attorneys. They charge a lot more than we do. They are not all experts at taxes. There are some good tax attorneys. I've had a few tax attorneys that have worked for us in the past and still work with us. And, they're attorneys. So they deal with law, not necessarily always in tax. Now, if they've been admitted into tax court, they can go into tax court. I don't go into tax court. I'm not admitted to tax court. But I've helped people that have represented themselves in the tax court and been very successful. So the big difference is the knowledge of the taxes and the knowledge they've got to maintain. And not all attorneys are tax attorneys. Not all attorneys know everything about taxes.
I always think about the time, Barry, where you had to go over the revenue officer's head because you knew more about the laws than they did. I'll never forget that story.
Oh yeah, we have fun with that one, and this isn't just a one-time occurrence. It's become more frequent with some of the less knowledgeable revenue officers. I've got a revenue officer I'm dealing with right now, and it's I'm very tempted to go to his manager on a few things, but right now I have things in control with him, and I don't want to disrupt that control until I absolutely have to. And so when that time comes, yes, we'll jump over his head and go right to his manager, and then also have his manager's contact. So if I don't get compliance from one, I can jump to the next one, and it's really good because I've got a arsenal of phone numbers of different revenue officers, different managers in different areas all across the country because we operate nationwide. It doesn't matter whether you're here in Texas, you're in California, you're in New York or Maryland or Florida. Or anywhere in between, even Alaska and Hawaii, we've had clients, and I've got people that I've dealt with all across this nation, both our clients and revenue officers and managers around the country as well.
That's funny you mentioned Hawaii because for some reason, Barry, I still remember our first show that we did in Florida. You came into Florida, and our first call was somebody from Hawaii. I don't know why. I've never forgotten that. But that was the very first call we got when you were in studio with us.
And then a few years later, my wife and I took a vacation out to Hawaii, and we actually got our first couple of clients in Hawaii while I was there on vacation.
Wow.
And the real funny part is we were doing a radio program with one of the radio stations that you had for Ask the Experts way back when. And I actually did two shows. One was I did at the top of Diamond Head. So it was really cool. And somebody asked where you were. And I said, hey, I'm on the top of Diamond Head, and I'm doing this 30-minute radio program. And they're like, what? I said, well, this was so important. We needed to get it done. And I just, we were on vacation and we needed to do it, and that's how important it is to get information out and help people. I've done these things from out on the ranch. I've done them from baseball games when my son was playing baseball.
How about going to take a cow in or something? You were buying
I was taking a cow up to our breeder for artificial insemination, and we were doing a program as well when I was doing that. So, it's important to get information out, and it doesn't matter where you are in the country. We can help you. And it does start with calling us at 877-996-6477. And I keep repeating the phone number because somebody asked us a few programs ago is, how come you don't give out the phone number as much? And I'm like,
Yes.
I remember to do that. So I guess that was the one time maybe I'm stumped that I don't give out the phone number enough. So I'm trying to be better at that.
Sharon in Oklahoma City, can you explain what an installment arrangement is?
Well, it depends on who's done the installment arrangement for you. If it's the IRS, it was maximizing the money they're getting out of you to pay your debt back. If it's us, it's maximizing what you can keep, minimizing what they're going to be able to get from you every month, putting it into a payment plan that you can afford. And we got to work within the confines of the IRS and decide, hey, this is where we're going to go. We've had some people, when they start looking at how much money they make and how much they're spending, we need to do sometimes in a stepped installment agreement, meaning we start low and then you have to increase one amount 1 year, maybe the next year as well, to start getting the debt paid back, because the IRS feels that you can full pay based on what you make, but you need to make some other changes and do things in your life. There are times we get in and we've seen somebody that's on an installment agreement that shouldn't be, that should have gone through offer and compromise or a partial pay installment agreement. And the partial pay means you're only going to pay part of the debt back, not all of it. And offer and compromise means they've settled debt for less than what you owe. And the difference between offer and compromise and a partial pay, they both settle your debt for less than you owe, is once you complete the partial pay installment agreement, it's done. Offer and compromise, even though the IRS has accepted it and you've paid off the offer amount, you still have compliance for the next 5 years, meaning that if you mess up and you don't file a tax return, or you don't pay your tax debt by April 15th, or you don't make your estimated tax payments correctly, all the debt can come flooding back and you're still back at square one, owing all this debt. And you either have to try to go through another offer, and that statute of limitations where debt would have run out and gone away, all those statute of limitations were extended by the offer while the offer was pending and while the offer is in place until that 5 years is done. And we've seen that become a major issue for some of people that have come to us. We had a guy that had an offer accepted, and he was 4 years, basically 8 or 10 months into it. He didn't file his tax return and owed money. And he filed it the next month, paid his debt, and the IRS still rescinded his offer, and all the money came back. And he was making good money, and he had to pay off all that tax debt that went through the offer. And he would have been better off with the partial pay installment agreement versus offer and compromise. So that does happen.
Well, hey, Barry, I was thinking the other day when I got this email, you do about 6 hours a month in shows like this. And we had a gentleman by the name of Leon from Kansas City. And I wanted to do this because you do give a lot of your time to educating people. He said, I really appreciate the time you give to educate us. It is so valuable. And I mean, he didn't have an IRS question. He just wanted to thank you.
You're very welcome. I enjoy it. Obviously, I enjoy talking. Nobody ever told me that I couldn't sit and talk. And obviously, today's a challenge because I get to do it for 2 hours. Here today, following our show, following right this one on Tax Talk for you. And so I get a whole nother hour of talking and answering questions.
What's your show about today, Barry?
So trucking and taxes. We're talking about bookkeeping and taxes for truckers over the road. Even if you run a small business, I mean, when we're talking about owner operators, truckers, we're talking about business owners. So there's certain things in the tax code that we talk about that's just for truckers, but there's a lot of things we talk about in the tax code that's for all businesses. So even if you're not in the trucking business, listening today will give you some insight on different things you can do in your business as well that helps you with bookkeeping, with your taxes as a business owner. And so, we try to get as much information out as possible for you as owner operators, as truckers, and as small business owners. So tune in. All you got to do is stay around, and we'll be right back on here at 10 o'clock Eastern time. So it'll be a great program. We'd love to answer any questions anybody has, just like we do here at Ask the Experts.
We just got a text in from Cedric in your backyard, Houston. He said, I heard you talk about offer and compromise. How do I qualify for that?
Well, if you call some of those that you hear on the radio, all you had to do was call them and tell them, and they'll sell you the offer and compromise. That doesn't mean you're going to qualify. IRS does have certain rules. I mean, they basically look at your income, and then they look at your expenses, and then they throw all your expenses out and say you're limited to what is called national standards. So you get a national standard for housing and utilities and clothing and food and medical and auto payments, auto insurance. And I mean, they have all these national standards, and that's what you've got to be under in order to qualify for an offer and compromise and then have nothing left. If you've got assets or equity in your home, they're going to want you to access that first. If you've got cash or money in the bank account or cash in the backyard in a coffee can, they're going to want you to pull all that out because you've supposedly got to full disclose everything that's out there. And if you don't, and they find out, then, hey, you've committed fraud. So you've got to answer these questions and all the questions appropriately. And then we've got to provide the information and proof. So there's a lot of work that we've got to do. There's a lot of things that we do with you, the taxpayer, to try to help you qualify. Maybe you don't have some of the expenses that you should have, and we can find ways that you can get those expenses and start paying them. And then that would reduce your offer or help you qualify for an offer. We've had somebody that, and don't jump out and do this, please. This is something that we've got to look at before you go out and do things to try to qualify. But somebody needed a car payment, and so they didn't have one, and they had a lot of repairs in the car, which gave them extra deductions for the extra repairs. But it would have been better to have a new car, no repairs, and insurance on it. And so we got them to do that, and then they qualified a little bit better. Nothing like the IRS paying for your new car, because it came out of what the offer would have been. So, but everybody's situation is different. So just because you hear something in this program or my program at Tax Talk for You, don't jump out and do that without consulting a professional to make sure that it's going to be the right thing for you.
Barry, I got to tell you, your show goes by so fast. I know you're going to have a great next show. Again, let's tell people how they can reach you.
All right. Hey, you just need to call us at 877-996-6477. Again, 877-996-6477. Or you can go to taxationsolutions.net. We have a contact page there, and we can schedule a time to give you a call when it's convenient for you to talk about what your tax problem is. And what I tell you is if you don't choose us, find somebody that's going to be honest with you. It's going to find a way to help you and talk about your problem and get that solution that you will qualify for. And, they'll be blunt and honest with you. But again, it's a free call, free consultation, 877-996-6477. Again, 877 888-996-6477. Hey, and as always, Steve-O, Ask the Experts, Tax Talk for You are all podcasts on iHeart, Spreaker, you name it out there, it's there. So you can find us, listen to these programs. And if you missed any information, just tune back in every Monday. Tax Talk for You at 10 a.m. and Ask the Experts a couple times a month with me.
Barry, you're the best. We love you, bro.
We'll
see you next month.
All righty.
That's Barry Fowler, Taxation Solutions, Inc. Give them a call. Don't try to handle this yourself. Hey, that's going to do it for us today. We'll be back in with you next week with more Ask the Experts.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.